you. I've learned you're the troublemaker, so. It took about 2 seconds.
We were friends, right?
A lot of my family lives just down the road from him, so. Welcome, everybody, I'm really glad you're here. This is a subject that has not only been central to my professional career, it's a subject about which I have deeply held core beliefs that the community and its schools are not separate. And sometimes in urban settings, they do become separate, and sometimes the community becomes the problem. And I think in rural settings, this is my imagination anyway, that the community and the schools are not as separate, and I think in your case, the school becomes the lighthouse for the community. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys today about that. I'm going to ask each of you to take about 5 minutes and talk about your project. And so let's begin with you.
Okay. Well, maybe I should do that.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm Chris Moran at White House ISD. We're just southeast of Tyler. We're a 5A school district with roughly 4,900 students in the school district, and a growing district, a changing district. Our demographics are changing, as most of you in the room would probably agree. And so we have to change with the times, right? One of the conversations we've had, that we've all had, is school safety. And it's taken on a new light in recent years, as well as the conversation with that pertains to social and emotional learning and just the mental health of our students. And as a community, 3 years ago, as we undertook the strategic planning process, 3 of our 5 belief statements were that faith and family is the foundation of our community, that everyone has the right to a safe and caring environment, and that supportive relationships are the foundation of learning. Those are 3 of our 5 belief statements. And the more we discussed our core beliefs as a community, the more input we received from members of our community, parents, faith leaders, business leaders, the more we recognized that the mental health and well-being of our students was at the very center of what we wanted to pursue. And so this impact model that I'm working towards in our district as a whole is a partnership with UT Tyler, just up the road, and Dr. Barkay, the head of that counseling program. So this is what our program looks like. And I have to give credit to Anna ISD, north of Dallas. They're the ones that planted the seed, and then we've taken it and modified it to fit our community. But essentially what it looks like is that as a district, we made a commitment to hire a mental health counselor, a person that would oversee the direction, the implementation, and the monitoring of mental health counseling for all of our regular ed kids. You know, we service our special ed kids through our LSSPs very well, but there are many kids in our district that are not special education that have serious emotional needs, who may go through traumatic incidents during the year, and who need support. And beyond that, the family may need support. So that's our approach, is to hire this mental health counselor, and we've done that. We involved UT Tyler in the interview process because the partnership looks like this. As they prepare LPCs for the field, they are required to have field experience as an intern. So as a district, what we will do next year through an MOU with them is have 8 mental health counselor interns in our district, 1 on each of our campuses. So it's free to us. The university is appreciative because they have a site now to place those students who, they're placing students who have a specific interest in public education. So our employee will oversee those interns because that person that's our employee is a supervisor. And the next steps for us as our full-time counselor begins July 1, is to nail down the final processes and make sure that legal has given us the thumbs up on everything that we're going to need. We're going to need some parent consent, et cetera. So those are the things that we're working through now, but we believe it goes to the heart of school safety. We will know those kids better, and during the summer, our 12-month employee will provide family support by home visits and community outreach and events to provide parent support, counseling, and through home visits get a better feel of what our children need. So when they come back to school, we haven't lost that 3-month period. So in a nutshell, that is our program. Again, we can't take credit for that. We believe in sharing best practices, but we really like it when we steal a great one, and we think we have here. So.
You'll pass it right along.
Good. So North Hopkins Independent School District is just a really unique place. We don't have a town. We are out in the middle of several great cities, but we're in the northern part of Hopkins County. Speed limit 55 in front of my school. It's a farm to market road. During the school zone, it goes down to 35 miles an hour. We have an Exxon station not too far away. And we have a Dollar General that opened up a couple of years. That was fantastic. Then we have a roadside barbecue place that started under a tent. He now has an awning, so it's very exciting to see the restaurant expansion in our community. But I say this to let you know that we really had no network. School was a place of trust. We have a very compliant culture. We have very little parent complaints, because they trust what we do, and they know that their kids are safe in our school, but there was no network of what we do or why we do it. They just drop their kids off, or our bus picks them up. It's a good day at school at North Hopkins. We just said it's a happy school, because it was that. We also had some academic challenges a few years back, but we found not to focus on those. We don't like to dwell on those, but we're seeing improvement, I think, because of what we're doing with our family engagement, our community engagement. So the root of our challenge was just because we didn't really have a community. It was just the place to be. So we had to really build on what we're doing and why we're doing it, and we came up with the philosophy of if we build it, they will come. So we had to find groups. We came up with a committee for collaboration, and it was more listening and talking, and we brought in all the preachers and all the local mayors and different people in different parts of our community in North Hopkins. And it was fantastic to see how these were neighbors, they were friends, but they'd never really done anything. So now we have a ministerial alliance, preachers that get together and they pray for our school. There's a church in our community that did the Adopt a School program that you probably heard about. And that's just taken off. They now have reading buddies that come up and read with our elementary students. Some of these adults are actually learning to read in the process. So it's kind of neat to see learning all throughout our community because of what we're doing with our engagement. So it is a special place. We're thankful to see some academic results. It used to be our events for basketball and track meets were big in cross country, but now we have math nights, we have science nights, we're doing the curriculum nights, and had a parent that says, I don't know what curriculum is, but there was food involved, so I came. and we fed them literally and then educationally as well that night. So it's been fun to see the networking of our folks together, and we're building it and they're coming. I didn't get this on my slide. I'm kind of last minute like that, Lauren, thank you. But we did improve 58% on our engagement from last year. And one word, clarity. We just had not really defined what our events were or what, it is a lighthouse, I think now. I think these things were going on maybe, but we just weren't defining them. And until you define excellence, you can't measure it. So that's what we're looking to do. This is just year one. I'm looking forward to continuing this, and this program has been fantastic to get here and network and bounce ideas off each other. So thank you for that.
I'm Dustin Carr. I'm with Sulphur Bluff ISD. It's a small 1A school in Hopkins County. In fact, we're neighbors with Aaron, just down the road, 10 or 12 miles. So, like I said, we've got about 225 kids in our school district, and the whole one, K through 12. So, like you said, some of the opportunities are limited in our school districts, in our small school districts. But some of the things that we offer, I think, are really important. We put a lot of our kids in leadership roles, and that's kind of where my project was going. But most of everything, all our leadership roles were geared towards high school, with FFA and Beta and FCCLA, things like that. Everything was going towards high school, so we wanted to expand some of those opportunities for some of our younger kids and get them in leadership roles in earlier times. And so that's where we were at. We just took our Beta club. It was a good model. It's a real successful club that's in our school district, and so we've taken some of those projects that they're doing and started moving them down towards the 6th grade. So we've introduced that Beta charter to junior high. So it's great. Beta is a wonderful program. If you've never been involved, it focuses on academic achievement, character, leadership, and service. And so, by putting that down into the junior high and getting them ready for what's coming for high school, I thought it was a great way to go. So,
My name is Mark Levesque. I'm the school superintendent at Chapel Hill ISD in Mount Pleasant, Texas. At this time, the lovely Dr. David Fitz will be handing out our little, I guess you could call it how we brand and market at Chapel Hill in the front, and on the other side, some of the things that are going on with our community-based accountability system. So, 19 years. I was actually born in Massachusetts, went to college in Indiana, got to Texas as quick as I could. I've been a superintendent at this school district for 19 years, and so proud to say that my children, all 3 of them, Longhorns, last one's graduating from Texas December. And I say that because we are proud of rural schools, and we are so thankful, SMU and all the sponsors and you people here. We want to say rural kids roar pretty hard too. Sometimes we just need a little bit of a push. We got smart kids in blue jeans and boots, and we can do it all. And we appreciate this for the networking, for the discussions, and just sometimes we don't sell ourselves as well as we should, but we are amazing. So on the front, you just see how Chapel Hill says we're all about the A's. That's just our way of branding out community-based accountability. And I know it's, there's not much, the stuff on it is incredibly important. And so the reason I joined, or the problem of practice, as you look at that community-based accountability, I've been involved in the TPAC group with TASA for about 2 years. And it's neat to understand kind of where it's been in the 50 or 60 school districts that are involved, large and small, because we're so much more than a test, right? Everybody knows that. And we do not do a great job of really talking about the real work in public ed. So community-based, maybe 2 more legislative sessions, and maybe Texas can lead the country in a much better accountability system. That would be amazing. So that's what I did, or that's what we're doing at Chapel Hill. I started with just me. I've had my principals go and get some training. We're doing strength training with everybody in the district, including the kids. But again, some of the things that are coming, and I want to say about Chapel Hill, wait, back up, I should have said this before. Just like these guys, when I got there, it was 600 students. It's 2,000. There's a little bit of red and that institutional brown. We've come a long way, but the pride and the people have always been there. The school was organized in 1850, and in 1998 was its first graduating class. But there's a junior college across the street. And so don't you think we take advantage of that fully, which is amazing. We've got lots of kids graduating with tons of associate's degree, lots of dual credit hours. But again, it's helping them take those steps. Our children are successful because we're going to make sure of that. And if they fail, we're going to be there for them. So that's part of what we're talking about too, being there and just putting all that in place. But what I'm excited about, we talk about the true accountability. And a lot of school districts are doing this anyway, right? I mean, they really are marketing and celebrating and showing the metrics of the work that really goes on. And the test from the state, that's just one little piece, right? So this is like, let's get it right. Let's talk about what true accountability is. What do you want to accomplish, right? What do you want to accomplish? And again, for us, we're about 1,050 students now. It's going fairly well. Of course, just keep your fingers crossed. Board's doing great, but one day at a time. And I'm just happy and thrilled to be able to be a part of this. That's it. Right now, I guess, we're still working. It'll probably be 4 years, maybe 5, before you see the legislature even think about community-based accountability. So,
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you. So Chris, I'm going to come back to you with some questions about the project that you put in place. What would you say is the most challenging aspect that you've had to face? I believe I heard you say that you were getting started. You'd hired this person and now you're going to talk to the lawyers, so I assume that I respect that process, that you didn't talk to the lawyers first.
Well, actually, we've involved them from the beginning. It's just the specifics we're
I'm
naming.
giving you a little bit of a hard time. When you do step out for something that's as different as this, one of the challenges we often face in community is that our parents think, well, you should just do this thing. It seems so simple. And we think, gosh, that's so hard. There's so many rules and so many challenges, and I have to pay for it. So how did you get to the place where you could have a mental health counselor and have that person well charged and ready to go?
Well, a program like this really is dependent on the person you hire. If you hire the wrong person, it doesn't matter what planning you put in place, it's not going to be effective. So finding the right person was key for us. We had someone that we had our eye on, but the other part of it was just communicating with UT Tyler effectively to make sure they were comfortable partnering with us for this. And so that was not that this was a great challenge. It just took planning and thoughtfulness and involving the right people to ask the right questions. So we began more than a year ago, really talking about this, almost 2 years ago, talking about it and planning for it, thinking about it, and then in the fall we hit it pretty hard. So we felt like the timeline was good for us because by semester we had a real good plan in place. UT Tyler was on board, and so it was just a matter of not jumping into it without thoughtfulness and planning.
A matter of curiosity, how many people in the room have worked with the university before, other than this university and a partner in the community? I'm curious, when you say you got UT Tyler in place, where did you start there?
Well, thankfully I went to UT Tyler, so I had some connections there with Dr. Sherman, head of the Department of Education. But Dr. Tidwell, the new university president, has been inspirational and a cheerleader for UT Tyler becoming a driver in East Texas, an economic driver and a research engine. And part of this that I failed to mention to you is that UT Tyler is making this a research project. So it's more than just a partnership with interns for them. They're going to track specific things to measure the effectiveness of the program and make that a project for their department. So they'll be measuring specific things. I think that we're on our slide. If not, it would be things like attendance, disciplinary referrals, self-harm reports, those kinds of things.
Wonderful, thank you. Derek, you're building community from the inside out, it feels like. And I imagine there's some things you learned that you'd like to share with us. So what are the...
You said only 5 minutes.
I know, I wish I had an hour with all of you. These stories are so fascinating. But,
Well, we had to find out who is who in our community. It was run by Facebook. I don't know if that ever happens in your community. But a lot of times that was where people knew what was going on. So we had, cemetery associations, not, I mean, we have all kinds of, people are buried on every corner in our district. So a lot of times those are the community leaders. You had to find out who's who and who has connections within our school. And some of these groups just emerge that way. A lot of our faculty doesn't live in the district because there's nowhere to live in our district. So a lot of our people that are employed at the district, they're coming in from all these other places. So there wasn't a whole lot of that network going on. So we started tracking our teachers and staff at their participation, and then at different events, and then they got to know some of these outside folks. So when they saw that we care for our kids and that they knew that. Again, I told you it was complacent, but when we really reached out and offered these special opportunities, we would invite these folks. We started a band parade, and we used to not even have band at North Hopkins. And then we would invite some of these who's who people to be honored guests at the band concert and chili suppers. Then those comments went to Facebook. We turned the table on that thing. So, that was probably the best way to answer that, was finding out who our people really were and where they were.
Yeah, and I'd say that's absolutely true in every community. It's the same experience we have. Dustin, you're looking at building leadership, I'll just say building leadership among middle school students. And I think in rural communities, children have responsibility, certainly earlier sometimes than they do in urban communities. They're responsible on the farm, they have summer things that they do. How do you feel like leadership is viewed differently in a rural community than it might be in a more urban community?
Just the roles and responsibilities that these kids have to take on, like you said, at an early age. There's kids taking care of family members at home and things like that. I'm sure everywhere, but kids have to grow up a little quicker sometimes. I know, in 7th and 8th grade, some of ours already knew what path they were taking. They knew what their next job is, and they knew what they're going to do when they get out of school already, whether it be a family business or just the direction that they want to take. So, just kind of going back to this, putting it back on the community and service things that they did. We tried to one of our service projects was going to the Northeast Texas Community Advocacy Center, and so they were able to get pillows and blankets and take over there to the advocacy center, and it kind of opens up a whole nother world to them. So I just thought those were good projects for our kids to do. So
Yeah, it's interesting, the combination of service and leadership. There's studies certainly of servant leadership, but people don't often think that people that are servants in the community are actually that community's leaders. And I appreciate that value that you're teaching them. Mark, I heard you talk about accountability, and often accountability sort of feels like, especially community accountability, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to decide if you're doing the right thing or not. And I also heard you talk about training people with strengths finders and doing things that made it sound like you were going to look at accountability from what are my skills, what can I build on, what am I doing, what do I feel responsible for, and then that was going to be the basis for your accountability. Was that a good observation? And if so, why did you come at it from that direction?
Yeah, that's fair. We throw the accountability as the umbrella because we all need to be accountable. I think the student piece eventually that we want to reach to, especially thinking about the pathways and everything that we're talking and wanting students to be involved in today, that we talk about why not have them involved in some of that Clifton strengths and set some goals there. I mean, it sounds pretty simple, but then again, because there's a lot going on with kids today, and they're different, and so, and I do believe, and Chris hit it, there's a lot of fragility. They're fragile, yet they're very sure about what they believe. So it's really interesting. It's but the A for us, so that's why the branding part is, and our system's designed to get the results exactly the way we've set it up. And I don't know if I mentioned, the school is the community, just like what what Mr. Jolly is saying, what Dr. Jolly is saying, excuse me, sir. But I would say that, it's important we talk about student-led and student impact, and I know that pendulum has swung pretty far, and so there's a balance there between, you haven't lived a lot yet, but by gosh, we want them to step up in this. So part of this, again, we think we've got quite a bit going, because agriculture, just like what Dustin was saying, that's huge, and there's so many leadership opportunities when you wear the blue jacket. And so that's just, we're just trying to make sure that every kid, where everybody is somebody and where everybody is somebody, and together we achieve more. But it's not that hard for us. Now, for Chris, it might be a little bit harder because he's talking about his numbers, but when you're graduating 85 kids and you cannot personalize, shame on you. So, that ought to be a given. So that's part of that, making sure that we are coming along with the same things we're doing with the, with the teachers and the staff. Sure like to do it with the parents too. Yeah,
Okay.
Step up, parents.
Thank you. We're going to get to some questions from everybody, but let's do one quick round from all four of you of, in one or two sentences, what made the most difference? And Chris, let's bring it back to you. What made the most difference in your, either, some of you are just getting started, so you're hiring. What made the most difference in either you're getting to here or in the success that you're seeing?
Well, I believe the community support and the belief from UT Tyler that this is a worthwhile venture is the most significant thing going in. We know that there's tremendous support for what we're about to do. We know that we'll be monitoring effectively to ensure that it's a good program and accomplishing what we set out to do. So we're not going in with a vague direction. There's a pretty focused direction, and it's not just one person driving it. But we've got the community behind it, got the university behind it, the organization believes in what we're doing. So I feel like, there will be some adjustments to be made, but overall, we're headed.
All of these details that define the schools, whether it really does or not. So we had to build our own identity and what we wanted it to be, what our community expected us to be. So just determining what the values were. And then we just have so many great people that work at North Hopkins, and it was neat to see every employee decide what they could contribute and how meaningful every influence of our people can be for every student.
Thank you.
I guess with ours, it was a little bit of unintended consequences or things that happened. We geared it towards junior high, but we pulled in some of our high school kids to help with the program, and they got really involved, and our other sponsors got involved, and we had a lot of community support on the outside, and from our teachers too were wonderful. So all the rallying behind the program was really the best thing to see on our part. So.
We've always wanted to be the premier public school district of choice. We started that about 10 years ago, but everybody has bought in. And so when you think about Chapel Hill, Chamber of Commerce, business people in the community, parents, students, staff, everybody believes Chapel Hill, we're all about the A's. And that is an easy message in a very complicated, with lots of stuff going on, to be able to send out. And so it defines us, and we're able to tell our story succinctly and well. So, boom.
Thank you.
Boom, roasted.
Who has questions for these guys? Yes?
Dr. Ryan, you shared about pulling the ideas from, I think it was Anna ISD. I wonder for the rest of panelists if you pulled from other,
Thank you. I was wondering if you pulled from other districts in the cohort in developing your ideas, or how working with your peers helped shape your projects.
I would just say, personally, when you're in a Region 8, there's a lot of similarities. So just kind of making sure, because the agricultural aid is huge to so many of us. But again, the work's being done everywhere. It's just a matter of talking about the work in that way. So there's nothing here that we're doing that's revolutionary. And I'm so proud, and it's just like, stand up, speak up, you've got good work. So, and we've never had to market. That's just not been what public education has ever had to do. But today, you better brand.
Other question from anyone? Got time for maybe one more? Yes?
For Chris Moran, just how did that process look like? Reaching out to UT Tyler, I think that's an amazing idea, but how do you even come up with that partnership?
That's a good question, and the answer is pretty simple. With my relationship with those on staff at UT Tyler, I went and face-to-face visited with those folks and just planted a seed and let them know that we had an idea that we thought might be worth pursuing, and then followed up and asked for a formal meeting. At that meeting, we made a formal presentation with the idea and asked them to consider partnering with us. And then we followed up again and involved more individuals and solidified that direction. So it was just a matter, and that's why I was referring to the matter of planning and time. One of the fallacies that districts can fall into is taking an idea they hear about and immediately implementing it. Because the devil is in the details, and you have to work it out for your individual district and community. It will not look exactly the same from one community to the next. But it's so critically important to take time and allow the stakeholders in the decision-making process to weigh in and ask questions and troubleshoot the idea to make sure that it's right for your community. And so we're not finished. We're still in the process, but that's how it began and that's how we started.
Great. Any other? One back in the back.
I would like to know a little bit about what you guys are doing in terms of making leadership more inclusive and reflective of the population of families that you serve. I know you started that conversation, but can anyone else tell me what you guys are doing in terms of inclusion?
I'll answer that. So we started just like probably most schools do, we do the book study with our leadership teams. Right? We do a lot of John Gordon books, and we've extended that. I'll give a book to anybody that comes up. Every pastor is reading the book that we're doing. Anybody that, and we invite them to some of our leadership meetings just to get those common things going. It'd be great to confront the brutal facts. Had a local pastor say, wow, that went over well. I had a business meeting, we were there all night, but they were confronting those brutal facts. But that came from some of the things of our school. So we're just trying to expand what we're doing throughout our learning community.
Thank you. So we've heard, pay attention to details and the right details at the right time. We've heard engage your parents, your pastors, the gas station as partners. We've heard engage students as leaders, especially the great impact of the high school kids of working with the younger ones. And then we've heard hold yourself accountable first and then brand what you're doing. So really wonderful insights. Thank you all very much. And I think we're catching you up a little bit. Is this a good ending time? Okay, good.